Hey guys, welcome back. In this one, I'm going to be showing you a working item duplication for version 1.2.0 for those of you who have already gotten the update. Now, this is a glitch that I've covered, but it involves two different parts that I've covered independently in two separate videos, so I just wanted to put them together in one, so that way it's easier for those of you on 1.2.0 to find a functioning item duplication. As for the requirements, all you really need for this is whatever item you want to dupe. The restrictions being that it needs to be something that you can safely throw onto the ground and still pick up afterward. So items like bombs, topaz, sapphires and rubies, things like that won't work because those have an impact effect when you throw them. And then obviously you can't use this for living creatures because you cannot throw those. The last restriction is that when you do this, you need to start with one of that item. You can duplicate as many of it as you want, but to do the actual duplication, you can only have one item in your inventory when it's done. And I'll explain how we're going to get around that to duplicate as much as we want. Beyond that, I recommend having at least one fan. This isn't technically necessary, but I do recommend having it. You can use a backup of a stabilizer, but this will put a time limit on your duplication, and I really advise not doing that if you want to dupe for more than like 10 minutes. Now, as for location, you can do this at literally any device dispenser in the game, but for the sake of example for this video, I'm going to be using the one right below the Nachoya Shrine on the Great Sky Island, because this will be the first and most early accessible dispenser that you'll be able to do this with. So I'm just going to jump down, try to jump down, and head to this dispenser real quick. Now, if you come to the same dispenser that I'm at, I recommend when you get down here that you take this fan, because we can get quite a good amount of use out of this. So we'll take it over here, flip it upside down, and just stick it on the side of this ramp. Make sure that it's not blocking the hatch, because we need to open that up. And to do that, we're going to go into our inventory, and we're just going to hold any one item. It does not matter what this item is, so long as you can put it in this dispenser. And then it'll kick it back out, and you'll see that even after we pick it up, this hatch is going to stay open. And that's because of the fan that we put here. For some reason, the dispenser is going to think that this fan is an item that it dropped. So as long as this is close enough to the hatch, that will stay open for us. Now, I do need to note, I can't specifically confirm if the fan being here will keep this hatch open on 1.2.0. I don't understand or see any reason why they would have made a change that would have caused it to. But in the event that having this device next to the hatch doesn't keep it open, then you can use either a large zonite, or if I can find it, prime meat will also work for this, raw prime meat. Because either of those items, when you put them in here, they're more prone to stay closer to the hatch when they fall out. So if the device won't force it open, then just use one of those items and drop like 5 of them in here, and then let those sit on the ground until we're done the next step. Which is, we're going to take out that fan that I mentioned. And it doesn't need to be this fan. It doesn't need to be a fan. I have been told that you could use this rock right here to the same effect, but I haven't played with that. I'm used to using the fan, so that's just how I'm going to do it. But we're going to take these fans and we're going to attach them on the seams or on the rims at a 45-degree angle. And if you're using the rock, then you'll do the exact same thing. I believe you'll want the rock to be in this position. You want it to be the upper one, not the lower one. So then we'll take this, force it in here, kind of straighten it out, and then I'm going to rotate it toward me one more time like this, and that's going to really wedge it up in there. And what this is going to do is anytime we put any items into this dispenser, they're going to get clogged up in the top, and when they're in the top of the dispenser like that, they aren't counted toward the 21 item drop limit. Which means that we can fill this with as many items as we want without it despawning them. Which is how we're going to circumvent the needing one of the item in your inventory to actually duplicate it. Because we're going to duplicate 20 of them, or 21 of them, and then put all but one into here. So for the actual duplication, my recommendation is come over to these, grab this little plank, and stick it to the end of this big one at an inward 45-degree angle like this. That inward angle I have found is fairly important. If you were to just attach it at 90 degrees, then if you try and walk off the edge of it while you're holding an item to throw, you are significantly more likely to get stopped on the edge by like an invisible wall. Whereas if it's inward like this, you can just kind of run off with no problem. I don't think I've had it try and stop me once with this setup. So this is the way that I recommend doing it. But for the actual duplication glitch, all we need is to get up on our little ledge, and the ledge is very important because we need to be able to go off into that falling animation that you see right there. This can work with a higher ledge that you can jump off of, but it'll be less efficient for repeated use, so I recommend doing just a small little ledge like this. But all of that out of the way, to actually do the duplication, we just want to hold R, take our one item out to throw, and then we're going to walk off the edge, and as soon as we go airborne, we're going to hold up on the D-pad, like this. And now we're going to let go of R, and we're going to press X to drop this item, even though we have none of it. And when that happens, you'll see that we drop the item, but we also throw it. So from here, you just pick it back up, climb back up, run off, let go, drop, pick one back up, and then you just keep repeating this process as many times as you want for however much you want to dupe. So I'm just going to do this a couple times real quick, not too many. I do want to mention though, it is important that you make sure that you are not releasing R until after you have this item menu up. Otherwise, it can cause anywhere from inconsistencies to just straight up not working. So just be mindful of that. And then you can do this until you've got 21 items on the ground, or until you notice they start despawning as you throw new ones down. And then once that happens, you can pick up all of them. Just for that, I'll grab all of them. And then take them and just drop them into the dispenser like so. And then I'm going to throw this last one in there. And now, if we can see, you can kind of see them in there past the fan, that they're sort of stuck up at the top, bunched together in this one big clump. So you just re-perform that until you have as many of the items that you want. And then once you're done, to get them out, we just want to take recall. And we're going to select our little contraption that's clogging up the opening. And then just be mindful of where it's going to come out to. If you're doing this during the day and this maker construct is over here, I would suggest standing on the right side, because if you're on the left, then you are very prone to accidentally talk to them when the items come pouring out. And you don't want that, because input speed is going to be kind of important, because that's going to determine how many of these items you're actually able to retrieve. Because while they're in the dispenser, they're not subject to that 21 item limit, but as soon as they start falling out, they are. So we need to make sure that we're grabbing these items as they roll out of the dispenser fast enough to prevent them from pooling up over 21. Obviously, you're not going to see that in this because I've only put 6 items in there, but when you do this yourself, you'll want to be mashing right up against this as fast as you can. So when we're ready to get them out, just come up next to the side, hit rewind, and then just get ready. And then just start mashing everything as they come out. And collect all your stuff. And then that's all there is to it. From there, if you wanted to start duping another item, you can just start the process over. The only downside to this being that in order to duplicate it again, you would need to run out of all but one of the item before you can start the whole process again. But that's pretty much it for that. And then real quickly, I just did want to show, because this is the exact same glitch, and this is how I originally showcased it in the original video, but the same dupe can be used for Zonai devices. In the exact same process, I recommend looking down because it's more consistent, but the exact same way, you can go like this. If you throw it into an area that doesn't have room to actually deploy it, you'll get the "you can't take that out here" message while also throwing it. And then when you look into your inventory, you'll see that you still have the one, even though the one you threw is on the ground. Not exactly the best showcase here, but I have an entire video dedicated to that will still work. So you can get a more in-depth guide from that video. But anyway, that's going to do it for this one. Just wanted to get this out so that way those of you on 1.2.0 have a confident, functioning item duplication that you can just get straight to right off the bat. And I have already made a playlist for 1.2.0 glitches, and I'll be updating that with any of my prior videos that will still function on current version. So if you want to check that out, there will be a link for it down in the description, along with the rest of my playlists for all of my other version exclusive videos. But with that said, if you liked the video, do me a favor and leave it a like. It really does help out. And if you want to see more, subscribe to the channel.